Everyone for coming. Alicia, do we have a quorum, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Fennell is present, Councilmember Runenbaum is present, Councilmember Crummel is present, Councilmember Contreras is present, Mayor Moss is present, and Councilmember Young is present.
Thank you. If we would all stand, please. We'll have a moment of silence. Remember the people on the coast with the storms. Would you bow your heads with me, please? Thank you. At this time, Chief West is going to come lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Alicia, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
Thank you. Consideration of minutes for the August 11th, 20th workshop and regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the August 11th, 2020 workshop and regular meeting minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Regular agenda items. Item number 1, to discuss, consider, and act on the proposals received for employee health benefits, including health insurance, and act on awarding a contracts for employee health benefits, including health insurance. Mr. Grimes.
Today we have Nancy Johnson with the Tommy Morris Agency here. Sorry, I'll let you hear me a little better. So this is for the renewal of the employee health insurance. I'll let Nancy.
So this is for the renewal not only of your health insurance, but also your dental vision plan.
Nancy, would you mind coming into the mic, please?
Sorry, no, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
This is for the renewal of not only your health insurance, but also your dental vision plan and your employee life insurance, what the city provides and what the employees are allowed to purchase on their own. We put an RFP out for all of those products. You received bids from all of the incumbents, which are Blue Cross for the health insurance and for the life insurance, and a company called Ameritas for the dental vision. You also, we sent the RFP information to Texas Municipal League, TML, because they requested one, because that's what you're supposed to do. And then you got a declination letter back from them. So after they got the RFP, after they analyzed all of the data, they came back and they said, we're not interested. And there's many reasons why they may do that. It may be that your rates are so competitive already that they knew that they couldn't match them, so they're not going to present, a proposal that's more than what you're already paying, obviously. Or it could be that they saw something in your claims data or something that they didn't like. For whatever reason, they declined to quote. And then I think you also got a bid on your life insurance and dental vision from MetLife, but you actually received that after the deadline that was in the RFP, so we're not even going to consider that. The good news is on your dental vision and your life insurance, rates are not changing from this year. There is no change in any of those plans. And in your health insurance, which I think your employees have been very happy with Blue Cross since we moved y'all back to Blue Cross a few years ago, you have 3 plan options. One of which the city provides, and then if employees want one of the other ones, they buy up to the other ones. The one that the city provides actually has a 2.26% increase in rates is all, which is phenomenal. If you look at all of the 3 plans and who's in what, it's like a 2.5% increase probably, because some of the other, the richer plans have a higher increase, but the worst one's only 4.17%. So you've had a great renewal. So you're looking at, the city's looking at like 2.26% increase in the premiums that the city pays. So your employee only rate is going from $581.80 to $594.93 on the plan that the city provides. So any questions?
Is there a maximum that the employees can do on life insurance, group life insurance?
There is a maximum, I think it's like 5 times, on what they purchase themselves, it's like 5 times their salary, I think, probably. I don't have that right in front of me, but, so there is a limit on the amount that they can buy. And what I've told some of your employees before, if you're looking at 5 times your salary and you want to get up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, we probably need to talk about an individual plan, because if you're healthy, I can probably get you something cheaper outside of the city. But the group plan for like voluntary life insurance is wonderful for really young people because it's really cheap. And it's wonderful for older people like me who have health issues because you can't maybe get insurance in the marketplace. But if you're real healthy and you can get like a preferred plus rating, and you want to get $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, it's probably better to get to talk to someone like me, and I'd be happy to help anybody or somebody local and get a life insurance policy outside of the city.
So 5 times their salary, if they made 50, they could probably get $250,000 in the group plan.
Yes, and again, I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. Let me see if I do. The city provides $50,000 to each employee, and yeah, I don't know what the limits are. Typically, a voluntary plan is a maximum of 5 times salary. Now, you have a certain portion of that that's called guaranteed issue, which means,
Right.
and on you, I think it's $100,000. And so with like a new employee that you've just hired, they could have cancer and I can get them $100,000 the first time it's offered to them. If they want more than that guaranteed issue, they have to fill out answer about 7 or 8 questions. It's called an evidence of insurability. And so they have to it's kind of a real simple medical underwriting to get up to whatever that limit is.
And wouldn't you agree that group life insurance is the cheapest there is anywhere?
Well, again, it depends.
No, I'm talking about no health issues or anything like that.
Yeah, if you're healthy, no, I wouldn't say that. If you're older and you're super healthy, I can probably get you something cheaper than the group rate.
Okay, but-
Because if you think about it, they have to price these group plans to cover people who have cancer. Because, they're taking on people that are in renal failure or cancer or whatever. So the rates are a little bit higher than they would be for an older person who's super healthy.
Okay.
So, but for young people, I mean, it's dirt cheap.
It's dirt
For your
cheap.
young employees, when we have open enrollment, I encourage them, especially if they've got children, to take advantage of these rates because they are super competitive.
Thank you. Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal for employee health benefits.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate y'all's business.
Item
On
number
behalf of
2.
the staff, thank you.
I'm sorry?
On behalf of the staff, thank you.
Yes.
Item number 2, to discuss, consider, and act to approve a request for sealed bids for a land exchange for property suitable for the proposed sewer plant. Mr. Grimes.
At the previous meeting, we had council directed staff to develop an RFP to do a property swap for a potential wastewater treatment plant location. Mr. Chesser has been working on that for the last 2 weeks, putting the details together. Pat, do you want to go into executive to discuss the details, or do you think that's necessary?
No, I don't think there's need for that.
Okay.
If there's any questions that require legal, guidance on them, I would be glad we could go into executive. But basically, what you have in front of you is a request for bid for a land exchange. And those items are, I think the key items, if you see the property criteria on page 3, which the property that we're looking to exchange must be located in the city limits of Willow Park, be between 8 and 15 gross acres in size, be located within 1 mile of the city property to be exchanged, and be acceptable to us as a future sewer treatment site. And so what this, we'll publish this request for bid in the newspaper twice, the 28th and the 4th, and then we'll have hopefully some exchange offers in by the 18th. We'll open the bids on the 18th here at City Hall. And at that point, we then have our next council meeting, which I guess is what, the 22nd?
22nd.
Yes.
And so we can consider and talk about them then. I've set it up to basically, just so y'all know, this has a lot of open-endedness to it because at the end of the day, it provides, we're going to have a lease, for example, for the 2 to 3 years that we're building our new plant. And so that lease will need to be negotiated with the successful offerer. And so those kinds of issues we'll have to work through. I've set it up basically where we have a 90-day window once y'all award the bid basically on the 22nd to work out those issues and bring back to you both the final sales contract and the lease.
Okay.
Basically, the sales contract will provide, we're not going to close on the property until 60 days after we're awarded the funds from Texas Water Development Board. So, and there will also be some other conditions that have to be met by them. And so, anyway, we have time to work out some of the details. I've tried to set in the parameters of what we have to have, and so that's what's in the conditions of exchange. If y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
And this is what will be posted in the paper.
Correct.
Any questions for Pat?
Rose, do you have this available so we can get this to the paper tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Rose, I made one change. I noticed a typo on the first page, so I'll send you that one.
Yes, please do. And
Okay.
I'll make sure the paper's
All right.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for sealed bids for a land exchange for property suitable for the proposed sewer plant, as described by Attorney Chesser in the RFP.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Pat, thank you for your help.
You're welcome.
Item number 3, to discuss, consider, and act to suspend all efforts and/or negotiations on a potential location for a sewer treatment plant south of Interstate 20 as previously approved by council. Mr. Grimes.
This request comes from Councilman Eric Contreras, and the mayor and I concur to direct staff to temporarily or suspend negotiations on a permanent wastewater treatment plant at the commonly known area as the South Side location. Eric, would you like to provide some?
Yeah, Brian, I just want to make sure when we talk about this that if you could mention what all efforts you did in regards to reaching out to these folks for a potential option.
So we were directed, staff was directed to negotiate an option and bring it out to council for approval. At the end of that meeting, the following day, I reached out to the real estate firm, the brokerage firm who had the property. We were not really successful in getting anything done with them. We had one or two very, very, I'll call you later conversations, but we never had a price, we never had terms, we never had any sort of efforts. And then as another site developed, the south side location, those efforts just ceased to exist.
I appreciate it, Brian. I appreciate that, you reached out to go through with what council said as far as the option, but I think it was pretty clear that we were looking to do other things, and when other things came to fruition, then that kind of happened. So I have had some individuals and some groups reach out to me individually to talk a lot about this, and so I really appreciate everybody that has reached out to me, and I continue to am open to anybody that wants to discuss anything with me, that they are able to reach out to me. My phone number and my email address is posted on our city's webpage, and I really appreciate a lot of those conversations, a lot of those concerns that a lot of folks have told me. I don't want to divulge anybody's names because a lot of people
didn't really want it to be out there, so I really appreciate it though. I think this is something that I'd like council to really consider.
And we're indebted to Willow Park Baptist Church for their help in this also. They were a big help in helping us get this. Okay, any other questions, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we suspend all efforts and/or negotiations on a potential location for a sewer treatment plant south of Interstate 20 as previously approved by council.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion?
I want to make a statement that you've done a good job, Doyle, with seeking a different option.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor? Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for their part in that. Item number 4, to consider and act on items to be considered for future council meetings. Mr. Grimes.
So the next meeting will be September the 8th, and I knew I left it in my office. One of the stipulations of SB2 is we're trying to navigate the new notice requirements from the previous legislative session. Y'all have never had to actually vote on a proposed rate before. That changed in SB2. So we will have a vote by the council on September the 8th to adopt the proposed tax rate. And then we will adopt the budget and the tax rate on September the 22nd. We will also have a public hearing on the tax rate on September the 22nd. And so I wanted to get that out and clarify that. The other thing we're going to have, expect to have an RFP or direct staff to issue an RFP and a bid package for the Fort Worth Water Project. I'm pretty sure we'll do the line from the Fort Worth Interconnect to the ground station on El Chico. And then, excuse me, the second bid package would be the ground storage tank and pump station at El Chico, and then run that to across the interstate to the tank behind Chicken Express. I lost my train of thought.
Gordon's tank.
Yes, Gordon's tank. Thank you. There's a third bid package that has to do exclusively with Hudson Oaks. I don't think we have to approve that bid package. I think that'll be done by the Hudson Oaks City Council. So if you see 3 bid packages, one is exclusively for them. And so that's what I have for September the 8th, that and the vote on the proposed tax rate.
Okay.
I think we'll also have the bids for the parks project, because those are open later this week, I think.
Yes.
So,
Bernie, are they open those Friday, Bernie?
28th,
Yeah.
yeah, so those should be on that council meeting for us to approve.
What time is that Friday?
I want to say it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. Friday afternoon,
Yes, sir.
here at the council?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Grimes?
For the agenda?
Yeah.
No, sir.
I have a request for the agenda item next meeting. I think we need to take a hard look at our water system and steps that we may need to take for its restoration. When we overhauled the system in 2018, it was supposed to increase our capacity to 1.8 million gallons per day. But over these past few weeks, that hasn't been the case. So at our next meeting, I'd like to see a public presentation that includes a report showing our current capacity and usage, along with a summary of all approved residential developments that have not come online, and the impact that they're expected to make on the water supply. You know, any residential, including like the 2 apartment complexes, the homes, the 2 sets of townhomes that we have coming on, just to see what kind of effect that's going to have on our system. I'd also like to have council discussion on how to preserve our water source That would include the implementation of a new drought conscientious landscape ordinance for new commercial properties. We spoke briefly, whenever we were talking about overhauling ordinances, about having a landscape ordinance that's more in line with like what Weatherford and Hudson Oaks is doing, everything's xeriscape, crushed gravel, that type of thing, for water conservation on commercial properties. And I'd also like for us to have a discussion on increasing the commercial water rates, and that will help encourage water conservation further by our commercial properties.
Okay, you get that?
Anything else?
No, sir.
Item number 5, we don't need to take action on that, do we?
No.
Item number 5, to consider an act on setting the date and time for the next council meeting,
September 8th,
September the 8th,
7 PM.
7 p.m.
But
With-
do we have the budget hearing
No.
before? So now it's just the 22nd
Yes.
of the budget hearing because of the change?
Tax
Okay.
rate hearing.
The tax rate hearing will be on the 22nd at 6:30.
Well, that was where I was gonna.
Or 6:40, 6:30.
Kind of have a lot going on.
Okay, there's no executive session items. Mayor comments. Myself and the Waste Treatment Council, our board, met with Mayor Robert Schmidt and a couple of council members a week or so ago. And we shared with them our vision of what we were going to do with the waste treatment plant. It was a very positive meeting, and I'm sure we'll have another meeting with them also. We also met with Annetta Mayor Bruce Pinkard and a member of his council. That was this Monday. We met with them and had a very good meeting. With waste treatment, they know it's an issue. The entire county knows it, or East Parker County knows it's an issue, so we had very good meetings with them. Mr. Grimes and I have met twice with Squaw Creek on the effluent water from our current waste treatment plant, and they're very interested, and it'll probably be something that will carry over from the old plant to the new plant, the effluent water. So we had a meeting with them yesterday, wasn't it? Yes, yesterday.
Yes, sir.
So we're moving forward with that, or as things progress, we'll be bringing that to the council. Mr. Grimes, that's all I have.
So, I was asked to kind of give us a brief summation and not to, certainly we'll address your issues at the next meeting as far as water goes. So the total well production on August 7th was for 1.5 million gallons of water. The demand on that day was higher than production, and we started pulling water from the storage tanks that's usually used to hold for the reserve of the distribution system. Typically what happens is at night and after refilling the tanks, the wells and the pumps begin to shut down and they'll start to recover. There was some water usage during the night that elevated the storage tanks to go up and down, but usage is not normally extremely high in the system and is able to keep up with demand easily. In other words, there's a recovery period from, say, midnight to 6 a.m. During the night and nights following, because usage remained high, the storage tanks were not able to completely fill, and the wells did not stop pumping before morning when heavy usage begins again. As of the morning of Saturday, August 8th, the wells had pumped water for over a 24-hour period with no downtime. Usage remained high through the weekend and beginning of the following week. Under normal circumstances, the storage tanks were filled and the wells were able to recover at night. The usage would have remained manageable. However, the tanks not being able to fill completely and the wells having no recovery time, the system was simply maintaining itself. In other words, whatever was coming in was going out. Due to the extreme heat and the heat buildup from the electrical equipment, wells and pumps began to electronically trip. We would have to wait until it cooled down or resetting and starting back up. This is the only time a well or a pump would shut down that entire week, is when something would electronically trip. This would set the system back and trying to recover. In other words, when it simply failed, it failed, and so you weren't producing any water. On Thursday, August 13th, well 10 would trip and remain tripped for hours at a time. While the wells are smaller producing wells, the ground storage tank is of decent size, and the pumps tripping out cause the water from that tank not to be pushed into the distribution system. This caused the distribution system to not be able to keep up with the demand. We had asked people to conserve and not use so much at night in an attempt to help the system recover, but as the old adage is, that actually caused the usage to go up. So when we asked them not to use water, they actually used more water. That next morning, I contacted Weatherford to ask to initiate the agreement that we had in place in 2018 of 200,000 gallons of water. That triggered a stage 3 water conservation plan. They turned the water on at 10 a.m. And by the middle of the day, we started seeing the effects. You could see the tank starting to fill. Usage also went down, and we finally got some much needed rain. Usage went down so that by Monday afternoon, the system completely recovered, and we were able to discontinue Weatherford water on Tuesday morning. One of the things, the takeaways that we have discussed as staff is a couple of things that we're going to probably end up doing. First, we'll probably end up codifying the Weatherford agreement into the drought contingency plan. I think that's something that we can do in the coming weeks and meetings. The other thing that Leah has suggested, and I think it's a great idea, is we will try to organize I don't call it a council, but a working group of the HOA presidents. So when we have to distribute information, we can at least hit the neighborhoods more effectively. And so those are a couple of takeaways that we've had over the last couple of days and weeks. We're still monitoring the water. We're going to have 100-degree weather this week. We think we should be okay. But we could always use some rain. And we're still in stage 2, which is 1 day a week watering. We're going to monitor the system and then make an adjustment when we can.
Okay.
When is the connection with Fort Worth surface water expected?
That's, I had a meeting with those guys today. We are tentatively trying to get a June 1 connection in. I think a lot of that will depend on the Water Development Board and whether or not they can approve, like we talked about. This is a long process with those guys. But hopefully putting the bid package out on September the 8th will help jumpstart this. We should have put the bid packages out according to the original schedule back in June, so we are running a little behind. We did discuss some contingencies with HAF Engineering today about how we could get some supply for next summer.
Okay.
Did we get the acquisitions of the right-of-ways?
That is 95% completed. I think they're waiting on Fort Worth to dot I's and cross T's. When they do that with the Beggs Ranch, then the same agreement will be taken to the Boswell, and it's our understanding Boswell will approve whatever the Beggs has approved.
Okay.
The main hiccup is the easements through the ranches, which ironically would be the easiest portion of the line to install because it's open ditch, open land. There's nothing to get in the way. We discussed today about, I would expect to see towards the end of this calendar year, 3 crews working on 3 separate projects. The 3 that we discussed earlier, the line from the ground storage tank, to the Fort Worth interconnect. You would expect to see a crew working on the ground storage tank and pump station facility, and then of course the Hudson Oaks line. I think initially they wanted to do that all at different phases, and I think we all decided that we can do that simultaneously. So hopefully we can have this thing wrapped up by summer of next year.
In 2 weeks, whenever, you give the report that I requested, how about we go ahead and have a timeline put together, like what you just told us, but, just kind of abbreviated. It would work in very well with the discussion for the public's sake.
If you looked at the schedule I saw 4 hours ago, it's going to tell you November. But I think we can probably have an updated schedule in the next 2 weeks. We're going to ask Water Development Board to expedite a couple of things they've been sitting on. Not that they're against the project. They're working, just like everybody else in Austin, they're working out of their house too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we can try to get an updated schedule for you.
Any other questions?
One other thing I wanted to mention as if we are doing a presentation is on the watering guidelines and drought contingency, if we could have staff look at, talk about enforcement of those guidelines.
Yeah.
How if it's practical to enforce, whether it's, how we can make the enforcement for what is there that protects our water system.
The short answer to that, and we'll get into it clearly,
Right.
is what Weatherford has is the smart meter system, which is what we've kind of been talking about for a while. What they actually do is they have a staff person go through and audit your usage. And so if Eric's not supposed to water on that day, they will go through and audit Eric's water period from that 24-hour period. And if you had an unusually high usage, then I think they send you a friendly letter of, you may have a water leak or something. But certainly you would adhere to the water conservation plan. And so Michelle and I are going to meet with a vendor. In fact, we're trying to schedule that meeting tonight. We're going to meet with a vendor and try to come back and get you guys a plan for smart usage. In this scenario, when you look at our SCADA system, you will see our usage. It typically will go up. In other words, the tanks are filling overnight. Well, it's kind of flatlining and then kind of gradually hitting down. And then at 6 a.m., when everybody wakes up, it hits a sharp, look like the stock market on March 17th. It just goes straight down. And then it kind of fills itself back up. We never saw that. We just kept seeing this gradual decline down, and that was for 3 or 4 days. And so that would, it's not practical to send guys out at 2 o'clock in the morning and knocking on doors to telling people to stop watering. So.
But I think that's a big point, is that it's illogical for people to water in the middle of the night when the evaporation is the lowest, but it does not work with our well system. And that's why we have the guidelines set up as they are, of times in the evening and morning to water, so.
And just for PR's sake, how are we doing with the commercial properties with the watering? Because some of them were just on programs and.
Well, actually, we manually shut off one of the bigger commercial properties.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I was reminded often by that.
We've got so much dirt work going on. There's got to be at least 100 acres of 1 to 200 acres.
So they can do commercial usage. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm trying to remember which
Okay.
day. But they can irrigate for commercial properties.
Tuesday and Friday.
Yeah.
Tuesday? Okay.
We have a cute little map.
Yeah,
I know, I was
say,
trying to
come get
remember
your
off the top of my
magnets.
head.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.